Hello and welcome to the CSPC Interview Series 2023. I'm joined today by Matheus Vieira, the President and General Manager of Roche Diagnostics Canada. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Victor. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. To begin, could you tell us a little bit about Roche Diagnostics and how it's using some of its technology to advance healthcare?
Absolutely. So first of all, hello, everyone. I'm so pleased to be here with all of you today. I have recently started my role here in Canada since November this year, but I've been working with Roche for about 8 years. Roche Diagnostics is definitely one of the IVD market leaders in the segment. So we are part of a bigger Roche family, Roche company that's based in Switzerland with 125 years, and half of this time we've been pioneer in diagnostics. What we do is that we serve our customers and patients with diagnostics and instruments, helping not only the laboratories, but also physicians to deliver the diagnostics. We've been in this journey for many years, and we've been in the front end of innovation in that field. As you all know, like after COVID, we all know what this PCR means. PCR was discovered in 1983, and Roche was the first company that started creating tests to use the technology as a way to diagnose this. So we've been really in the front end of innovation. When we think about Canada, I think it's worth to mention that 1 out of 4 Canadians are currently using our diagnostics when they go to laboratories or hospitals in here. We are a company that are very focused in the laboratory environment by bringing solutions, any type of diagnostic test. But we are also investing a lot on going beyond the laboratories, because we believe that diagnostics, it's not only done within the lab, but it also support physicians on the decisions that they take. So really understanding, creating tools and resources for physicians to take better decisions is part of our core element in today and in the future. We do work by providing reagents and instruments to diagnose many different types of diseases, and including diseases like oncology, which is one of our specialty, where we also played a very important role since the beginning of the development of diagnosing that field, with biomarkers to identify treatments leading to personalized medicine. We're definitely the company that most invests in innovation. So just so you have an idea, we reinvest more than 11% of everything that we sell back to R&D, trying to really bring innovation in diagnostics to more patients in the globe.
Yeah, so you brought up the recent COVID-19 pandemic and the PCR tests that Roche helped advance, which were very beneficial for early diagnosis. Are there any other tools that you can maybe bring up that helped improve the efficiency of laboratory testing or otherwise improved diagnostics?
Well, I think that you just raised a very big milestone that we achieved after the COVID. I think after COVID, all of us, we know what the diagnostic means and the value of diagnostics. And you're going to be shocked, but nowadays, 70% of every single decision that are made by physicians, they use diagnostics. But when we think about the investment from the governments and the society and the healthcare, is only 3% of those investments they come to diagnosis. So since last year, we've been really looking into how can we leverage this knowledge around the importance of the value of diagnostics to really help not only the patients, but also the government, because we understand that if we are able to diagnose early or in a better way, we can treat the patients well, and we can even save for the health system, right? So our focus is not only bringing efficiencies to laboratories, as you mentioned, because that's what we do with our automation, We know that most of laboratories, they look for efficiency to deliver the test as quick as possible. And you probably are following up the shortage of resources in healthcare. So the focus in automation that we have and our ability not only to help the laboratories on being more efficient, but also on managing better everything around them to deliver results is one big asset. Part of our strategy as Roche Diagnostics, as I told you, is around bringing innovation to customers and patients, but also to focus a little bit on the decision support element, which brings efficiency. So every time that we take a better decision based on diagnostics, we're having a better patient outcome for sure, and also impact to the society. We want to step back to this reactive diagnosis, right? When the patients are only diagnosed when they're sick, to even earlier in their journey, right? When we talk a lot about prevention, right? We know that there are some diagnostics assays like HPV. Part of our strategy is to go to disease management, is to really start like supporting and engaging and identifying patients before they even get diagnosed, right? Around the prevention. So when we talk about like a woman with a high risk of having cervical cancer, if we use a test called HPV testing, you give like the chance for that woman to really avoid the disease and not even go into the system to be treated. And that goes beyond. So when we talk about efficiency, so there is a huge value on when you're able to identify patients based like with heart failure. And I for a recent experience that I had when I was leading the organization in Finland, we had a pilot with a hospital by trying to improve. So one of the core elements of our company is also looking to the patient from disease management perspective, because when you're able to screen a patient before they even get sick, there is a huge value not only for the patient but also for the system. And one good example is women with a high risk of cervical cancer. When you have a test like it's HPV test that is identified, you can easily select the ones with a higher risk and prevent them to have developed this disease in the future. Another big focus of our company and where we believe that we can bring efficiencies is in cardiometabolic diseases, right? In a recent experience that I had when I was leading the company in Finland, we partnered with the institution to improve the patient journey when they have heart failure. There are few patients that when they have heart failure, if you are able to identify few markers as a diagnostic test, you can not only predict if they are going to have the better or worse outcomes, but sometimes you can even prevent them to go to the hospital. So you could treat them at home with a much better quality of life. So this is not only like a relieving the system of the burden of many patients that could be treated at home, but at the same time, it's a great element for the patients so they can be treated in the nice environment with a good prognostic.
Okay. So things such as early diagnosis and accurate testing tools are, of course, important for patient outcomes. But I think another important consideration for early diagnosis is for the access to proper testing sites and services, which may be a little bit difficult for people who are located in quite remote areas. Has Roche, or how can Roche facilitate diagnostic testing equitably?
At Roche, we put the patient in the center of everything that we do. And if we think from a patient perspective, we as patients, like during the COVID, we were happy when we could do our all self-testing. So that really put us a lot of comfort, right? So when we think with the patient perspective, we definitely need to adapt our solutions to deliver the better impact for those patients. So at Roche, we have a division called point of care, and it's a division that brings solutions, systems that can help patients in their point of care, right? So instead of going to only a laboratory, you could go to a pharmacy, to a long-term facility, you could go to clinics, and you could have access to high-quality diagnostics, very, very similar to the ones that you would have in the laboratories. And this is a big element and the big advantage for customers and patients, because when you think about the impact for patients, for instance, when they need to have a quick results of PCR, we can deliver in 15 minutes with a solution called Liat. And that can be delivered in any place in a country like Canada, where sometimes you have like long distances and not always you have a very close laboratory to support you. On the top of that, we believe that this decentralization is critical. And at the same time, there is a need that we maintain the quality and the access to the data. So we do have a backbone of IT that supports the data to really connect. So a patient that performs a test in a clinic that is very far from the big center, the doctor can easily access the data from his diagnosis from the systems that we connect. And that gives a lot of comfort, not only for the patient, but also for treating physicians to wherever they are. Our portfolio and our ability to deliver these decentralized solutions is a big differentiator for us. And I also want to add that we do have, as Roche Diagnostics, a strong expertise in the diabetes care, right? Today, we do have like the systems that support patients wherever they are to measure their blood glucose levels for the better management of their disease.
Yeah, so many of your earlier points touch on different aspects that better enabled efficient patient care. And these include things like removing barriers to diagnostic service, using technologies that can enable continuous care, using tools that are more accurate in their diagnosis. And this applies to diseases across the spectrum, whether it's diabetes, as you just pointed out, or cervical cancer. How can you combine many of these points and provide a more holistic and personalized healthcare experience for the patients? Are there any new technologies that you could potentially leverage, such as AI, for example?
I think this is a very good question, especially because it connects all the dots, right? And that's like sometimes when you think about diagnosis of patient, diagnosing a patient, it's a combination of multiple factors that will deliver the best solution, right? But I will step back one piece and just talking about access. I always say that there is no innovation without access. And the barrier of making sure that innovation gets to the patients is critical for us. So I think that this is one element that has been critical in our journey, is really to foster activities that are connected to delivering access to patient, and that means bringing evidence with the clinical trials for our assays, or also creating local evidence that can support the utilization. And I think the last one is really going beyond and really reconnect and convey all the data that comes from diagnostics. At Roche, we have one area that we really look into accelerating our ability to become a provider of multiple clinical decision support tools. What do we mean by that is there are tools that can be used by physicians and that can integrate different innovation and technologies within their, so they can take decisions based on that. And that is definitely something that where AI can play a very important element, because algorithms that can predict, for instance, higher risks of developing few disease, it's also called and considered a diagnostic tool. And the goal of integrating the data and using everything that is available to you from a diagnostics perspective to support patients to have a better treatment is definitely the core of everything that we do. We have multiple examples and even on partnerships that we develop with institutions. Again, I was living in Finland before. We had a very interesting partnership with one of the biggest hospital districts in Finland by trying to understand how could their data create a better diagnostics by integrating with diagnostic solutions in AI. And I think this is a core element of what we're expecting to be done in the future in benefits of patients around the globe.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. Before we conclude, I just have one final question. What's your opinion on the value of the Canadian Science Policy Centre and conference and its position in the community for convening, connecting, and capacity building in the science and policy landscape?
Well, as I just mentioned before, I think that there is no innovation if the innovation cannot access patients. And I think the role of society like the Canadian Society Policy Center, it's actually bringing the pieces together, right? It's connecting the interest from the government, like where the focus is, and together we analyzing where the gaps that we can cover together, and really work towards a common goal, and to really unlock access to innovation to patient, but at the same time find the right spot when there is a benefit not only for the patient but also for the healthcare in general. So societies like this, they are critical for our success, but also to allow patients to benefit of the highest technology, either in diagnostics or in other areas in the therapeutics, even from that perspective. So I'm extremely excited to start like working with you guys, because I believe that your role is critical if we really want to change the way we treat patients in the future. And I think that many of those elements that you mentioned about data and AI, none of us really know exactly how to leverage, but I think that discussions in across sectors can definitely give us like a very good flow to where and direction to where we should be going to make more impact.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your perspectives and for the discussion. I wish you the best of luck in your new role, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.